That's why I don't leave the house anymore.
Yeah.
Well, to be honest, I don't leave the house because I am producing too much content for this show and the YouTube channel. I want to thank everyone who subscribes to this podcast, subscribes to the YouTube channel, interacts with us, and tells friends and family members about this terrific podcast that we do for you for free week in and week out. I take no vacation. And we definitely want to thank James. He just gave us hit us up on Patreon, and we do have a Patreon. If you want to donate to this podcast, please do so. Go to ourbigdumbmouth.com. There is a link at the bottom there if you want to make a PayPal donation, or if you want to go to Patreon. There is a subscription model. There's different levels. I'm still working on getting a lot of those levels of donation together. I'm just inundated with editing content for this show, for the YouTube channel, and last night, instead of going out and getting drunk, I started working on the missing 411 database. And, trying to get a staging server together, writing the front, back end, doing all this shit, and then figuring out what is this database going to be for missing 401. So I'm trying to integrate whatever data is going to be in this missing 401 database displayed on Google Maps. And as you zoom in, it'll have different levels of information on each missing 411 case. So I'm trying to prototype it right now, get it working, and I'm in the very early stages, but it's a very daunting task because there's so much information, and there's even more I just don't have access to in a digital format. So if you know David Politis, tell him I'm making a fucking database.
Kind of like we're getting the band back together.
Yeah.
Except we're making a fucking database.
Jesus Christ.
I'm a man.
He's a man.
I'm going to write them again. So my plan is to kind of get a working database up. I'll put a few of these cases in there. I'll show them a working prototype model and say, hey, give me all your data. I'm going to put this in there. If you want it private, that's fine. I don't know legally what you can, since these are Freedom of Information Act requests. I don't know what you can. I don't know if you can publicly display that, or if it's just for your personal use. I don't know how it works. So we can make the database as private or as public as you'd like. So let's actually get into the missing 411 segment. How about that, guys? Come on, yeah, let's do it.
Excuse me.
I'm having chest pains.
I'm having chest pain.
Okay. So about last week, I put out a video on YouTube urging all of our subscribers and people that are really, I don't know if they're fans, but they take a genuine interest in the missing 411 phenomenon to contribute with their thoughts and theories, and we will play them and read them on the air here, put them out back on YouTube, and create a discussion around that, because a lot of the comments on our missing 411 videos, very spirited, very opinionated. People like to call us dumbasses. You guys don't know shit. Wish you were dead. We've gotten one or two of those. We've also gotten a lot of people who are putting forth pretty good theories, because, I mean, when it comes to missing 411, any theory that you spit out is almost as valid as the next person's, because we don't know what's happening to these people that go missing in national parks and now urban environments. It's so open-ended, and that's why it's such a compelling and interesting series that we've been doing on this show, and we'll continue to cover it as long as we can. And so with that call that I put out on YouTube, we did get one or two voicemails thus far, and one or two emails, and let's go over them right now. Come on, let's do this. Yay! And I have a voicemail here. The first one is from Russ. How you doing, Russ? And his phone line wasn't the best, and it broke up a little bit. I had to edit out some buzzes and clicks. And I don't know if he's nervous or has Tourette's, but it's about 2 minutes long. We'll see how long. What's that?
I said, why not both?
Yeah, I know. He's a nervous, stretchy guy. And we'll play as much as we can. Here we go.
Hey, it's Russ here. A short-time listener, first-time caller. I have a weird theory about the missing 411s, and I love the BDSM podcast. And
I'm not sure what the BDSM podcast is.
Yeah.
OBDM podcast?
That sounds like a bondage podcast.
Yeah, bondage podcast. That's that's what we are.
Bondage and missing 411.
Yeah, bondage missing 411.
And Bigfoot.
Yeah. Just, was he talking about this?
Got a long way to go today.
Yeah. The BDSM podcast.
You got to finish the western half of the United States book.
Yeah. Here's the rest of this voicemail.
so my theory is that in the national parks, the government made a deal with these beings inside of the national parks, and so the government will turn the other way when the big feet or whatever, how do you say, the lizard people or whatever, they steal people, and they don't keep any report of the disappearances. So my theory is basically that in the national parks and for the disappearances in the urban areas, like cities or whatever, or like housing, it could be a UFO landing craft lands in the water, submerges itself completely in the water, and then waits for some people to walk past, and then there's maybe an outlier in the group of people that walk past, and they take the outlier of that group of people. So, and then do whatever they want, and then they're never seen again, of course. They wouldn't be missing.
So, I'll pause right there. So his first theory is that the government made a deal with whatever entity is taking these people from the national parks. And I don't know what the government's getting out of it. He didn't really speculate on that part. But is this allowing it to happen, and they're not really making any public reports about these disappearances and whatever deal that is? The only deal I know about this in the conspiracy realm is the deal, in theory, that Eisenhower made with the aliens at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base back in the 50s, when supposedly the aliens came down. They struck up a deal. In exchange for being able to abduct people, the aliens would give the United States government access to alien technology. That's the only kind of deal that I know of in the conspiracy realm like this. As for the UFOs landing down in lakes and possibly rivers, and then waiting for people to walk past and then abduct them, seems kind of counterintuitive to the way I believe UFO technology would work. I don't know how it works, but I don't see why if they can just abduct people and they have access to really mind-bending technology, why they would need to actually come down underneath the water to wait for people to walk past in close proximity to them. I don't know. Possibly. What the hell? I don't know. But it's just as valid as anybody else's idea out there. What say you, Clown Baby?
It's interesting. I know there's been a lot of UFO sightings, different, books and stuff and theories of underwater UFO bases. So, I mean, there's certainly an element to that there that I've seen before. But in terms of the abduction stemming from, that's why people are going missing by water. Interesting, but like you said, most abduction cases is just the UFO comes down for you in the night.
Now, I've also
more like they're being actually like abducted on the ground, taken by something, or being taken somewhere.
Now, I've also heard the theory that these people are put into water because that helps cover up whatever crime took place. But then I heard the counter argument that when David Paulides was talking, that no, actually putting a person in water actually does preserve the crime scene a lot better. You can tell a lot more of what happened. as opposed to if the person was just on land and then animals could tear at it or any other environmental factors. At least in water, you know what kind of toxins and things are in the water, and you can probably do a lot more accurate tests on the body. So I heard it's actually better to be placed in water when you're doing any kind of forensics as opposed to land. According to some of the talks I heard, don't know. Maybe they're just they're just lazy and they just want to hear a nice splash. I don't know. Could be.
It was just like the swim. Who knows?
Yeah, don't know. I got another voicemail here, and I'll play this for everybody right about now.
Hey, this is Joshua from Portland. Just leaving you guys a message about not so much a theory, but I guess a theory. I've emailed from David's website. I don't know if I ever got to him, but it seems to me that there's a lot of the people that go missing have some kind of like church affiliation or an affiliation with like a church, or they're out with a church group, or they're near something that has to do like some kind of like Christian or Catholic, Roman Catholic faith. I don't know, maybe you guys can talk about it and maybe do a little bit research into that, see if you saw the same thing I did. Maybe it was just, who knows, maybe I just saw something that isn't really there, but yeah, just my idea. Thanks. Take care, guys. Bye. Shablagoo.
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 I asked my lead researcher, Clown Baby himself, to look into this, and he couldn't come up with any kind of religious connection to any of this. And Jeff, do you want to talk about that? No, he doesn't.
I think he's talking to the toilet right now.
Yeah, he just went away.
I think he's taking a shit.
Yeah, he just left in the middle of the segment that he brought to the show for whatever reason. What is so important? He leaves an hour into the show for whatever reason. I don't get a chance to leave like that. I don't get that kind of that privilege. I think that Clown Baby looked into this, and he couldn't find any kind of religious connection in any of the books that he has. And he looked online a little bit to see if there's any kind of religious connection with these disappearances when it comes to missing 411. He didn't see anything.
The only thing I can think of is that you said they give, at least the city disappearances, and what you read, they said it's usually a young male, usually Caucasian of German ancestry. So, I mean, I know there's a lot of Protestant Germans, so you can look at it that light, kind of, whenever that's the main profile, rough profile.
Yeah, a WASP, white Anglo-Saxon Protestant.
But it didn't get, there's nothing that actually indicated a specific church, like Seventh-day Adventist or something.
Yeah. That's correct. I do have 2 emails with theories.
Hey, John Boy.
I like that. That's actually a pretty tonally good. I go crazy with these fucking song clips, people.
Why don't you just congratulate yourself a little more? Why we've got a few more minutes. Go ahead.
I go fucking silly with all these sound clips. When you have access to all these kind of sound clips, you use them. You fucking use them. And in fact, I created some new sound clips for this very show. Take a listen to this.
You going to jail.
Got the joke jail clip right there.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And I have some comedy cops.
Stay down. Think of your families. I said down.
That says when we're treading on very thin ice with some bad jokes, which we often do during the podcast.
Sure.
Although that last one kind of sounded more of like a robbery, not so much cops or whatever. I don't know if the cops charge in and say everyone to get down. I think that's more of a laughter larceny or something like that. I don't know. Yeah, it's very fun to do these clips on this show. It's stupid, and at least it entertains me. So we have a couple emails, Joe, and I'm going to ask you to help me read this one from Josh.
All right. Yeah, I know the email that you're talking about.
It's very lengthy.
It is very lengthy. This is Josh Lamb, lowercase, no uppercase.
8 inches.
Yes, very lengthy.
Dick pic came with the email. Want to play the clips too, or do you just want to go through the?
Well, let's try to read through as much as he wrote. A very lengthy email, and I don't know how much. If you're new to the show, I'll say I'm horrible at reading things and talking in general. So I tend to.
You are the master. Like, you are great. You have a great radio voice. You have a great, mic point 3. The whole thing, like that whole thing works. Reading is not your forte, though. No, I'm not. I'm not a good reader. But I'm going to try. I do aspire to be a good reader one day. And I'll try. So here we go. Let me go ahead and I'll help you out.
Okay, thank you.
Stop me where you need.
Okay.
Dear OBDM videos, I am so happy to have found your YouTube channel. I enjoy your opinions and humor. I follow the missing 411, and I have a theory that's different than most, but is broad enough to explain who is doing this. What is a breakaway civilization? A breakaway civilization is a term Richard Dolan coined to speak of a civilization native to Earth who's become so technologically advanced that they were able to follow their own path rather than staying at the mercy of the corrupt governments that have ruled the world since the dawn of time. For some quick information on the breakaway civilization, here's a lecture from Richard Dolan on the term he coined, and there's a link to a YouTube video.
It's 30 minutes long, so I don't think we'll be covering that.
What's that?
The video is an hour and 30 minutes long. I don't think we'll be covering that.
Okay, yeah.
Another time. Is there any historical evidence that a breakaway civilization ever existed on Earth? Yes, the megaliths around the world. You may ask, how can we connect all these megaliths together? I propose through the graves of the people that built them. For evidence on common occurrences of the same race of people building the megaliths, please watch this video. And there's a link to another YouTube video.
Okay, so are we going to read this whole thing and say there's another link to a video, and he gives us another link to a video? There's not much really here to talk about.
Well, okay, so let's get to the meat of it, because he links to another video in the next paragraph. Let's skip to the next. Like it or not, this is the group the Bible referred to as the fallen angels. They are also the Greek gods, Sumerian gods, Egyptian gods, or whoever. If you are not ready to admit that a different race of bipedal human, like people, lived next to mankind and technologically outshined them, then you need to research the subject. There were more bipedal apes beside humans, Neanderthals, and
Gigantopithecus?
Gigantopithecus.
While many of the early religions describe these people as falling from grace or coming here from another world, where did that go? I lost all my screen.
Well, and I'm not so sure. I'm not sure that they weren't native to Earth. Obviously, this group is the group that is really at the top of the food chain. I'm not so sure that these people weren't just so much more advanced than mankind that legends grew out of their advanced civilizations. Where are they now? They are still here. This accounts for some of the UFO sightings. Most of the credible sightings are black ops programs and hominids who have been running the world. And they are underground, above ground, colonizing the galaxy and living in other dimensions.
So he goes on, then down here, he says, so how does a breakaway civilization fit into missing 411? Well, we know people have been going missing for centuries. Well, the truth is that people have been going missing for a millennia. And it is mostly all due to the breakaway civilization. The Bible said that these people saw our women and found the. This is when it's written like this, it fucks up my head. Can you interpret that, Joe? What is he saying? Do you see where I'm at?
I think he's saying.
Do you see where I left off?
No, because I thought Jeff was taking it.
Oh, okay. So he's saying that what the Bible said that these people saw are women and found them irresistible and new entities. So the Nephlim is what he's saying. The Nephlim are what we refer to now as the giants, fairies, Sasquatch, dogmen, New Jersey Devil, etc. Seeing cryptids are the Nephlim that seem to be a genetic experiments.
The Nephilim or Nephilim.
Oh, Nephilim, rather.
Yeah.
Seems some of these people who have been taken away are stricken with handicaps. I propose that the poor handicap hostages are undergoing genetic experimentations. I guess the people being taken away missing 411 to correct the handicaps that they have, and are considered throwaway people that are prime candidates for breakaway civilizations. God knows what to. Experimenting on the handicap like the Germans. And our government who is now aiding in the breakaway civilization for technology. So it would appear as though the breakaway civilization and is taking people on the surface to do some kind of experimentation or testing on or God knows what.
Yeah.
It's a very bold speculation, from what I can tell. But it's very, and it has a lot to it, and rooted in its core. So.
I don't discount the breakaway civilization theory. In general, I don't know if it applies to missing 411, but why not? But so hypothetically, that if there is, recovered saucer technology, and there was, a couple corporations farmed out to research this stuff and build technology with it, if you get some really cool stuff, are you really going to want to give it away? Or are you just going to want to use it for yourself? Probably going to keep it for yourself and travel the universe, or I can definitely see that. But at what point do you totally lose touch with your humanity and start kidnapping and executing people by the hundreds of thousands? That's that kind of evilness is hard for me to wrap my head around. That's what I kind of, and I understand he's trying to intertwine Bible stuff and ancient aliens stuff. He's the Nephilim, the fallen angels, wrapped up into modern day UFOs and technology, and the split of two different technologically separated human species, all into missing 411. But just for experimentation purposes, that seems a little. It seems like there's if they have that much technology, and they've been doing this for so long, haven't they gotten enough DNA at this point? I don't know.
One would think.
You would say, yeah. I mean, they've been doing it for thousands of years. They have enough DNA. Now, I did see a movie recently.
Maybe they needed, a constant replenishment.
Yeah, I saw a movie recently called Jupiter Ascending. It's a science fiction movie that came out, I think, last year. It has some big-name Hollywood stars who escape me at this point. That cute little girl from That 70s Show, the dark-haired one. Forget her name.
Billy Clinton.
Billy Clinton, that's right. She's in it, and they wrestle with something similar of a breakaway civilization, and that there's a giant. There's a giant world out there, like, let's say, an internet or intergalactic government, and they harvest planets. They have to wait until each planet gets to a certain population level, at which point they can start farming those species. So once the humans reach the 6 billion mark, then they can start abducting people and using those people for genetic research and experimentation. And they use those researches, or use those people they abduct, to create pharmaceutical products to use as life extension technologies for the intergalactic rulers. So they farm humans to make products so they can live longer. That's the message in that movie, a sci-fi movie, which I kind of liked. Kind of explains some UFO abductions and why people go missing. But in missing 411, sometimes they find the body and sometimes they don't. It's not uniform. And the bodies they do find, they come back with very few marks on them. It's not like any incision marks or marks that you would associate with any kind of probing or surgery. They come back and they either declare them, hey, they died of hypothermia or they died of drowning. And sometimes they have raised level of GHB half the time, or many of the times, they don't even test for it. They want these cases out of their hair. They don't want to have to worry about potential foul play being involved with these people. So he goes on to say, my conclusion is that the people are going missing. The people that are going missing is due to two groups. Our own government, who is probably taking most of the people presently, and a group of humans used to be called the gods. What is the criteria to be taken? It could be as little as one skill or certain genetic traits. It probably depends on what either of the two groups are in the market for. All right. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate the email. Very dense. And I'll see if I can collate all the links and put that in the show description and definitely the YouTube description if you want to check out all the different links that he provided. He's obviously thought about this for a long time.
He did mention bipedals other than humans and Gigantopithecus. We covered this a year or 2 ago, 2 years ago. Jim Vieira's TED Talk, his TEDx, about the mound builders. A very good watch.
The mound builders.
Covers a parallel species that were 8 to 10 feet tall that there's apparently skeletal evidence of in the Native American tribes in North America. So check that out.
Hey, Joe, do you still have that video?
The mound builders?
Yeah.
I think so.
You have it. Is it on YouTube anywhere?
We should be.
They keep taking it down.
I'm thinking we should probably host it somewhere if we don't get called out for it.
That was definitely one of my favorite videos of all time, because that's one of these guys who's like, I don't see it. It might be on. I think it's on an external drive. Yeah, this is one of these guys. He's a mason. He does architecture, and he's like researching this stuff, and he's like looking at all the records in the newspaper, and he's like, holy cow, there's a lot of cover up of all these giants that used to apparently inhabit the North American plains.
I think the reason how he discovered it is because he looked at some things they called colonial root cellars, and he said this was impossible to do at that time during the 1700s.
And they're all over the world, and they all have a window that lines up with the sun on
solstice or something. Or the equinox.
Yeah. So it's like, yeah, you could call it a fruit cellar or a cellar or whatever, but like, no, I mean, there's a very intricate architecture going on here. And then there's all the stories in the newspaper of these giants who the Smithsonian apparently knows nothing about, even though the newspaper says, oh, the bones were given to the Smithsonian.
Yeah, apparently there's some sort of government cover-up of history. According to this guy, and everything you kind of read, the more you dig into these alternate histories, the more you're inclined to believe them, because we all know the fucking government's lying at this point. They're lying about a lot of stuff. They're probably lying about the UFO phenomenon. They're definitely covering up and not being very straightforward with the missing 401 stuff. There's evidence of this gigantic race of beings that probably, inhabited some portion of the North Americas and probably other parts of the world. And then you have the Bible stories of David and Goliath. Well, was Goliath really a fucking giant? Probably at this point, if you're taking it at face value.
Well, and the dude, what was his name? Mound Builders. I wish I could remember his name, but he led it back to
Daniel Polito.
Daniel Polito.
Right?
Jim Vieira. Yeah, Jim Vieira. And he traced it all the way back to what he thought was actual evidence that Atlantis was a real place, which was the first bit of evidence that I've ever seen in my life. And you guys know I'm not a Bigfoot guy. I'm not a UFO guy. I'm very, very skeptical when it comes to this stuff. But I had never heard any more compelling evidence than what he presented as far as what could potentially have led to the actual civilization of Atlantis. It was very compelling.
It just makes me think, I mean, the history of Earth is so... It's documented, but it's all wrapped up in fables and in legends. And so if you have Atlantis, you believe in that, or UFOs, and maybe the missing 401 thing, maybe people are being taken by some deal that was made thousands of years ago, and we're locked into this contract that we know nothing about. Who knows? But we're going to continue covering it. I do have one more email. I'm not going to read it at this point because I'm running out of steam, people. I'm getting very worked up over here.
Very agitated.
Getting very agitated. I'm just running out of steam. I got to play some Overwatch.
oh, that's why you're getting
It's very hot. For whatever reason, I have air conditioning in this fucking place, and it's not getting up to my fucking studio, Command Center Alpha 1 here.
You do also have like a giant array running, probably making it hot as piss.
Yeah, I'm running numerous computers. It is very hot in Command Center Alpha 1. I am surrounded by monitors and sound equipment, and I know I'm coming off angry and agitated, but I apologize. I'm not yelling at you. I'm yelling at myself.
Good thing we all know.
Yeah. Now, what do you say? You guys want to get out of here?
I just want to cover one story real quick. We'll get to that email, I guess, later in the week when we do our other show.
Yeah, I mean, as that YouTube video gets out there and more people call in with additional voicemails and their ideas and theories about Missing 401, I'll include this email in the next round.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
So I got one. This is more of a humorous one, so we can leave it off, I guess, in a light note. So a fight over a fart leads